Hi there, in this short video I'm going to show you how to install Linux Mint on VMware Workstation. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go to linuxmint.com/download.php, and I'll leave that link in the description below. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to take the Mate 64-bit version of Linux Mint. So I'm just going to then scroll down and find Ireland, as that's where I am, but find a mirror that's closest to you and then select it to begin the download. Okay, so we can see this begin to download now. So what I'll do is I'll pause the video and let this download, and we'll pick it back up once it's down. Okay, excellent. My download has completed here, so I'm just going to go back to my VMware workstation. So the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to click File and New Virtual Machine. I'm going to leave the configuration as typical. I'll click Next. I'm going to click Installer Disk Image File ISO. I'm going to browse to my downloads folder and select Linux Mint, and I'll click Open. I'll then click Next. I'm going to leave it as Linux, and I'm just going to select Debian 864-bit, and then I'll click Next. So I'm going to call it Linux Mint, and I'll click Next. And I'm going to leave it as 20 gigs for the time being, and I'll click Next again. And now I'm just going to click to customize the hardware here. So I'm going to give myself 2 gigs of RAM here. And I'm just going to give myself an extra processor, and I'm going to leave the rest of these settings as is, and I'll click Close, and then I'll click Finish. So the Linux Mint machine has appeared here, and I'm going to click to power on this virtual machine. So I'm just going to click OK on this, and I'll close down this, and let me just extend this back here so we can see. So you can see the machine is going to automatically boot in a couple of seconds here now for us. So it might just take a second, so what I'll do is I will pause the video here until it boots. Okay, so you can see here we've actually booted up into a Linux Mint desktop. So the first thing I want to do is I want to double click on this Install Linux Mint to kick off the installation process. Okay, so I'm going to leave my language as English, and I'll click Continue. And I am not going to select this for the moment, as this is only a test machine, but if you're planning to use this for your desktop, you'd like to click Install Third-Party Software to get a few extra bits and pieces that you may need. So I'm going to click Continue here, and I'm going to say Erase Disk and Install Linux Mint. I'm not going to encrypt, I'm not going to use LVM, and I'm just going to click Install Now. Okay, and I'm going to click Continue here. Okay, and I'm in Dublin, Ireland, so I'm going to click Continue here. And I'm going to leave my keyboard layout as is, and I'm going to click Continue. Okay, so I'm just going to say my name is Darren, and I'm going to create a password here. It's just going to be a weak password, as this is only a test machine. But again, if you're using this as your main machine, be sure to set a secure password. And I'm going to press Continue here. And we can see the installation begins. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause the video until the installation is complete. Okay, we're back, and this looks good. You can see installation is finished. You can continue testing Linux Mint, but until you restart your computer, any changes you make or documents you save will not be preserved. So I'm just going to restart this machine now to get booted into our installed Linux Mint. And I'll pause the video while it's rebooting. Okay, and you can see we're just getting a warning here to remove the installation medium, then press enter. So I'm just going to come up to Linux Mint, I'm going to right click, and I'm just going to come down to settings, and I'm just going to check CD, DVD, and I'm actually going to swap this to use physical drive to make sure that we aren't using the ISO image, and I'll click OK. And then I'm just going to press enter, and you can see the machine will begin to boot here for us now. So I'll just pause here again while it's booting. And we're back here, so I'm just going to pop in that password that I set. And hopefully now in a second we should be brought to our Linux Mint desktop, And you can see here we have our menu with software, and you successfully now installed Linux Mint. If you ran into any problems during the install, be sure to comment below, and if I can help, I certainly will. And for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.